A reader asked me if you can use microbiome prescription without having a sample. And the answer is yes. It's not as good as having a sample, but it can be done. I want to take you through the options and the pro and cons. There's two ways of doing it. One is we using PubMed literature and studies, and we have 130 conditions which we have some information on it. Some have a fair amount of information, some is very little. But basically, from the PubMed data, we find out what bacteria shifts are associated with a particular condition, and then we can model suggestions from those bacteria shifts which are reported. We also have positive impact, which are substances reported in studies to help those conditions. So in other words, okay, those are pretty safe things if you have the specific condition mentioned. That's nice. But often people dealing with symptoms, not a well-defined medical condition, in which case then we go over to the R2 site where we have something like 350 symptoms which we have the ability to look at, and from those symptoms we can, and those symptoms are coming from uploaded samples and doing analysis on uploaded samples. From that information we are able to get a prioritized list of probiotics that we should be able to help. So let's stop and go over and take a look at the PubMed solution first. Okay, when you go to the site, you have information from studies here, and what you want to do is look and look at the U.S. National Library of Medicine studies with shifts, and there we are. And now you can search for whatever you're interested in. Let's take a look at something like asthma. Okay, there we have asthma, and now we actually have several things available. We can look at the bacteria associated, but that doesn't make much sense right now. The first thing I'd say is that from the bacteria associated, which are listed here, and you can click view, and you see all the bacteria shifted. And from those bacteria, we will go and compute the same way we do for samples what things you can do. And now we have the list of things to help. And again, that's positive impact. I'm going to look at here are the negative impact, so you have an idea of what to do. And that's it. So you get a list of things, and you just look through there to your heart's content. Don't believe prescription drugs is included here, but other things are. So that's method number one. Let's go back. And the second part of it is if you click on can you help improve symptoms, it actually gives the literature, gives some general suggestions, which is generated by AI, which may or may not be correct, but AI does not hurt if you phrase your questions well. And if you go down to the bottom, you see treatment substances where we get all the treatment suggestions from. Nice list. And now we go and we get the list of the chemicals like Triphala. In this case, we have an antibiotic, bifidolongum, etc., etc. And over on the right, you have name for alternative names of the same chemicals. Remosis, and you see also so the number of studies reporting positive effect. So generally, you want to go with the one with the most positive effect because that is what the odds are going to be in your favor. And I haven't got all the stars, so you just have to scan down. The list is usually not that bad, and the top one is right there, Ramosis GG, which have 19 studies. Plain Ramosis is there, and the next one down is Lactobacillus reuteri, which is there. So that is what you have by the first way. To recap, go to the site, look at the PubMed. You can get the model suggestions, which we see. You can also look at the bacteria associated. And you can also go over here and see what has had a positive impact on this particular condition. Some cases you may find only one or two substances. Some cases more. Model suggestion depends on how much information we get from studies. So things are, for many conditions, tolerable, acceptable, but not as good as we have the symptoms solution, which means we go to a slightly different site. The site which we go to is R2, not www, but r2.microbiomeprescription.com. And there you have modeled probiotics based on self-declared symptoms. So you can click here and go through. And now you go and you look at what symptoms you are looking at. And we were looking at asthma, and we go through down to refine it. And there we have asthma. And there and down below it computes things. And what we can see is things that have good impact and bad one. And the number, this is a estimate for how much good one. Over here we have good bacteria and bad bacteria impact. Now, what we have here is the probability of it being random. Here, with a low probability, you may have many bacteria included, which are unlikely to be, but the odds are they could be. If you increase the odds to a higher number, we go down, and now what we end up doing is having bacteria which are high have a much greater probability of doing it. And now when you go through, you see there. Now here is where you hit a little problem. These are probiotics which are either out there or which should be out there in the next couple of years. Some of them, like Physicium, I know I can get today right now, and it has a whopping big impact. Now, there's no clinical studies behind these. This is all computed from a method which is described in detail. I won't go in there. So some of them, like that one, is available. Bifidal adolescent is there, 881. You can see it really drops down, and we can go down and take a look at them. If we want to look for something like ramosis, we see there, and actually it doesn't come out with as strong as positive impact. In fact, it comes out with not the ideal impact. Let's go and see if we can find Reteri. Reteri is actually better in terms of the impact. Remember, this is a pure model calculation based on the bacteria detected with people who have declared asthma, and we see that Reteri is better than there. But if you get rid of all of those, the ones are probably best is Reteri, Bifidal adolescens, Lactose. Plantarum is down here, which is that's not correct. That was on the good list, so that is reasonably high up. Bifidum is there, and you can go down through the whole list. But you notice we suddenly dropped down to 70. We started at 1400. These are likely to have nowhere near as much impact as the ones further up. Plantarum is a nice one. Bifidal adolescence is almost potentially has twice the impact of it. Now, keeping to remember is good impact. That impact, we have 63, bad, we have 0, which is what you want. You don't want to have any risk of having adverse effect. 63 bacteria is a lot more bacteria than what we got from the PubMed studies. And that is because we do much superior statistical analysis, and we have bigger samples than what most of the studies are using. Now, so Physicium, which is available, is the sweetest one, and then the adolescents, and then Plantarum would be my three choices. Now, if you want to know where to find these probiotics, just click here, and it goes and gives you a list of variety of sources for it. And just click through. There's no easy way to do it because there's a lot of bacteria where you are in the world will impact what is or is not available. So that's basically it. So let's go back to the original thing. Two ways: you can go by condition and see what we estimate from the condition, and you get a relatively small list. Positive impact, you get a very small list. Going with no samples, by going from the donated samples people uploaded with their annotated symptoms, we actually get a pretty good set of bacteria association from which we can calculate which probiotics are likely to have the biggest impact. Key thing is you want to, if possible, be single strain probiotics. And that is basically it. That's how you can go and use Microbiome Prescription. or combine the two of them together. In this case, for PubMed and our own wing, we find one thing is agreed between them, which is Lactobacillus plantarum is something which is rated. Ramosis isn't as well rated as plantarum, but plantarum may not have been studied in a clinical study. Often the manufacturer are the ones who are sponsoring the studies, which makes that there is a great amount of bias over the PubMed route because of financial interest of people sponsoring the study. Over here, this is basically on pure modeling from data sources, and it is personally I find it's probably a superior way of getting suggestions, especially for probiotics. Okay, that's it. Have fun.